In this morning's Money Watch, the federal government may be $14 trillion in debt, but it's never had to juggle its bills until now. The U.S. Treasury can no longer legally borrow any money, and it says that could sink the economic recovery. CBS News business and economics correspondent Rebecca Jarvis is here with more on what all this means. Rebecca, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Chris. We're really at a major tipping point here. The Treasury Secretary Timothy Geithner spoke to a New York audience Tuesday and laid out a dire scenario. Congress either raises the debt ceiling by early August, or we could all pay a devastating price.
With our nation's credit limit now breached, Treasury Secretary Timothy Geithner warned that a failure to act would result in disaster.
We do not have the option of leaving this problem to another day, another Congress, or another president.
Since Monday, when we hit the $14.3 trillion debt ceiling and Congress failed to raise it, Geithner's had to shuffle costs to keep the country afloat.
We were forced to deploy a series of extraordinary measures to prevent default.
Those measures include borrowing from 2 federal pensions and halting some state aid.
We have hit the debt ceiling, but it's not doing any damage because the Treasury can use various accounting gimmickry and techniques to get around the ceiling, but that only can go on for so long.
Think of it like you would your own home budget. Each month, bills need to be paid, groceries, gas, and of course the mortgage. But let's say you don't have the money to pay the bills, and your credit cards are maxed out. You have to feed the family and get around, so you put off those mortgage payments. Put them off for too long, and you'll find yourself in foreclosure. The government's version of a foreclosure happens August 2nd.
The scenarios come August 2nd are so dire. The words being bandied about are catastrophic, doomsday, and these are appropriate terms.
The doomsday scenario means the U.S. would default on its debt for the first time in history, causing interest rates to soar, stocks to plummet, and a global recession worse than 2008's.
The big question going forward is how do we get to that vote? Now, the Republicans say that they're not going to hike the debt limit without guarantees on future spending cuts. Meantime, Democrats are pushing for an increase in the debt ceiling first, followed by talks about cutting the deficit later.
Let's say this stalemate lasts right up until that August 2nd deadline. What's this going to mean for the average American out there?
Bottom line here is that the more nervous that the markets get over this, the more likely the cost of borrowing is going to go up. So the more expensive your mortgage gets, the more expensive borrowing for a car or borrowing for a small business. On the flip side of that, stocks hate the uncertainty, and we could certainly see them push lower as a result of it.
And quickly, although this deficit reduction talk that keeps on going right now, Republicans say no new tax is not going to happen. Did Timothy Geithner say anything about that?
Basically, he said we're kicking the can down the road on that one. Really? We're not going to touch them until after the deficit ceiling is done.
Okay, got to read between the lines, huh?
Yep.
All right, CBS's Rebecca Jarvis, thank you.